for you guys that somebody got it under control,
That's-
out from under him.
I think we're live now.
Okay, thank you.
They were in Omaha.
Hot
They
mics.
moved here because of location of the intersection. Yeah. So it was location, but. It's location.
All right, welcome everybody to the Sarpy County and Cities Wastewater Agency meeting. Today's Wednesday, September 28th at 4:01 PM. Nebraska Open Meeting Act rules are on the north wall of the boardroom. In attendance today, we have all five mayors present, Mayor Roseland from Springfield, Mayor Evans from Gretna, Mayor Kindig from La Vista, Mayor Hike from Bellevue, Mayor Black from Papillion. I'm Don Kelly. I'm the chairman of Sarpy County Board. We also have our agency administrator, Dan Hoins, our agency treasurer, Bill Green, our agency secretary, Lisa Hare, present. If you would, silence your cell phones and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any announcements or comments from the board? Okay, then we'll get right into the staff and consultant reports. Dan Hoins, agency administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, member mayors. I always try to strike the balance between, I know you get tired of listening to me, to forgetting to tell you something very important. So just go high level. Before we last met, you directed us to apply for the letter of interest with WIFIA. We did submit that, thanks to a lot of these folks sitting out here that were key. Lisa, in getting that, it has been accepted. We expect to hear, and we ask, I think, for the full 58 million, 60 million, something in there to cover what's in there. The next critical path there would be, we would be invited to apply in January, at which point the county then would be asked to do a resolution of intent to backstop. So I'm working with the county folks and their financial people to make sure there's a level of comfort doing that. Meanwhile, spending a lot of time trying to look at alternate funding sources. I think things are going well there. In order to get that, Hunden, we did execute that, I think, our last meeting. I met with them. You should have, if you haven't already, met with them as individual cities. You shaking your head, is it scheduled?
not.
Mary? Has it been scheduled yet? Do you
Not
know?
that I'm aware of.
Okay, could we follow up with that, Lisa? Make sure. But certainly meeting with the mayors and ministers was first on the list to get your individual opinions on the development patterns in your respective cities and zoning jurisdictions. And then on their deliverables, it's to meet with Gross Sarpy, the Bellevue Chamber, the Sarpy Chamber, MAPPA, several other key critical, but the high level, have indicated they'll have a draft report by October 13th to us, and then hope to finalize that within a month, which then we will have a very in-depth qualitative and quantitative analysis of the potential economic impact of this sewer agency coming in. And we have some preliminary numbers that show 155 million a year. But this is going to be a much deeper dive and look at the radar and laser in on what we're doing. So more to come with that. Also, we did make a conditional offer. It was accepted for the operations superintendent position that was approved in the budget. There was some question about, when we were discussing our funding issue, whether we should or shouldn't hire that. Went ahead and made that after discussing it with the admins, because one of the key savings was having this person do the construction observation portion of the Hawkins contract. And so we went ahead and moved forward with that. A young man, Jacob Slobodnik, he starts next week, so we'll bring him in and introduce him. He's primarily he's 100% remote. He's out in the field all day long, not working from his house. So he won't have designated office space, but he'll be working. Hawkins also is scheduled October 3rd, by the way, to stage. Is that right, Jeff? Correct. To stage up, and so he'll start the same day as Zim doing the construction observation and the other things. And if you're more interested, there's a detail. Somebody asked, what's the difference between what he and Jeff does, and there's significant difference between what he and Jeff are going to do. If you're interested, let me know. And then I'll speak to the, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, the Scapanade creative contract when that agenda item comes up. So that concludes comments. Again, hopefully I'm not shorting. There's still a lot going on, so.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Leanne Ziettlow from Engineering, HDR.
Good afternoon, Leanne Ziettlow for HDR and the engineering group. Just some updates on what's been happening in the last month. Springfield Basin construction continues. They're about 40% complete. They're setting up the trenchless crossing. That'll be a pretty significant effort under Highway 50, so that should be going in the next couple of weeks. We haven't seen a final schedule from Hensis or an updated schedule, but it looks like spring 2023 or mid 2023, so that continues to go. We continue to look for cost savings on, I'm calling the CMAR part. I know we've sat down and talked about the lift station pricing from Hawkins, so we continue to work with Jeff on that. Good news, we actually got approval that NDEE has approved the framework for our discharge permit for the cooling water blowdown. That was a little bit longer and harder than we thought it was going to be, but I know Jeff and others worked pretty hard on that. We met with NDE several times over the last couple of years, so we're very happy about that. That should be in hand here shortly. And then we continue to work with Midwest Right-of-Way, supporting them. As Dan said, Hawkins should be starting in the next few weeks. And I know Midwest and Jeff have been working hard to make sure that we have all of the right-of-way and easements. I think there are a couple items that we'll talk about on right-of-way issues, but all in all, it's coming together.
Questions for Leanne?
Did you say trenchless crossing? What is that?
Yeah, so they'll push under Highway 50.
So just bored under?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all right.
New terminology.
Yep.
Thank you. Adam Charlsen, Husch Blackwell Legal.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly. Again, land rights, we've been pushing hard on that. We've hit a good kind of cadence the last 30, 45 days on those. Midwest has buttoned up a lot of those deals. There's a couple that are before you on the agenda today on purchases. A couple other ones, we've had some impasses, and we're going to seek authority to condemn, but to continue to negotiate throughout that process. On Monday, there is a hearing for the Board of Appraisers on that Flatbed Express condemnation down in Bellevue. We've talked about this the last few months. We still hope there's room to work something out, but that hearing will happen, and about 2 weeks after that, they'll have a report, and we'll have title. As Leanne alluded to, the discharge permit is finally, the framework is approved, so we got that crossed off. Jeff did the heavy lift on that with the NHDR. And then just the standard growth management plan requests have been coming in, a couple times or every other week or so. So I'm supporting Jeff and Steve Jensen in those efforts. Any questions for me?
Questions for him? Okay, I have an alibi. I should have mentioned this, but Mayor Kending and I have been meeting with state officials. We're trying to marshal support for potential funding streams that we can uncover in the coming year to help with our funding issues. So I think they were productive meetings.
Yeah, I
And,
think Senator Arch is gonna carry the ball for us and get us information that you'll just be able to track it down, so very helpful so far.
And then simultaneously, I've been meeting with folks from the development community, from Hawkins Construction, and working in coordination with HDR to develop a video presentation of the problem we're trying to solve. And I think some of the economic impact data that we gather from that study will certainly fold into that really nice. So As this progresses, I'll try to keep you guys updated by letting you see the drafts and know what's going on, but just wanted to make sure you knew that was happening for your essay, in case you get asked a question.
We have, is that gonna be, the work they do, will that be paid for by the agency?
Currently, no. I just met with Scott Bovig today. I haven't had time to even brief the chairman about how we're going to coordinate the Platteview Road and the agency because they're one and the same. So currently, it's a county-funded issue, but if there's going to be agency stuff, in fact, I think that maybe Scott Panati is going to have a role in these videos in doing this. So Scott and I just met today. So I would say partially, if you approve this contract, I plan on expanding some Platteview Road stuff with some of the stuff that HDR has done. I'll pause
The
it.
only reason I ask, because what's your maximum that you can okay without board approval on the agency?
$1.
Okay, so that's why I asked, if any agency money's going to that, we
Yeah.
probably have to approve it up front.
Yeah, no. And again, I'll talk more, but I think I may use Scott Panati to help merge these two ideas together. But that would be under a contract approved by this board.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. On the consent agenda, we have 2 items today. If any of the agency members would like to see those moved, you can make that motion now, or I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Papillion, second by Springfield. Any further discussion? Okay, you should be able to vote electronically.
Yea, 6, nays none, motion carried.
Okay, on the regular agenda, first item is item 3, Resolution 43. It's approving the filing of petitions to condemn necessary property rights. Adam Charlsen, Husch Blackwell Agency, Legal Counsel.
Thank you, Chairman Kelly. Yeah, Resolution 43, combined them into one rather than breaking them out separately. All these properties are in the Segment 3 portion of the system. And as laid out in there, we've either had impasses with the property owners, or some have just not responded to Midwest's numerous efforts to connect with them. So time is of the essence on this particular segment, so we would like to move forward and obviously continue negotiating with the property owners who are in communication, and the others will just have to follow the process.
Questions for Adam? Motion?
To approve?
Okay.
Second.
Motion by LaVista, second by Gretna. Discussion. Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays none, motion carried.
Okay, item 4 is Resolution 44, which authorizes the board chair and the vice chair to execute land rights purchase agreements and related instruments. Adam?
Thank you, Chairman Kelly. This resolution, if I can get there, 44, this is for 3 different particular property owners and parcels, also in Segment 3. 2 of them, the Sorensen and King parcels, the underlying purchase prices were in line with the appraisals. The difference here is that they asked that the agency also cover costs related to, one of them is some water laterals and septic, and another one is to any damage caused to their sprinkler system and resodding. It's framed up here that they're supposed to provide quotes and bids from contractors, and once Jeff and Phil, the agency treasurer agree to that amount, that would be included in the compensation.
Questions for Adam?
I make motion to approve.
Second, Bellevue?
Okay, I have a motion by Papillion, a second by Bellevue. Any further comments or questions? Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays none, motion carried.
Okay, last item on the agenda today is Resolution 45, approving professional services proposal by Scapande Creative Company, and as Dan mentioned, we got a new resolution that goes with this, or
And that's correct, and again, I would ask,
new proposal, I should say.
for my own mulligan here, I did originally solicit this proposal end of August, early September, so the dates correlated were for the end of the month. Scapanati did give us the amended time. You go to page 7, there's some amended dates. That's what has changed.
Okay.
From what you saw on Friday. On page 7, the dates, assuming approval, would begin September 29th, and then there's a payment schedule. Fees due accordingly, so it's consistent. Couple of other comments, but would ask first that you consider the amended proposal when you approve it, not the one that was
Right.
out there Friday.
Got it.
So real briefly then, Mr. Chairman, Member Mayors, you'd ask Chairman Kelly, and I think it's important to look at creating our own messaging, brand logo. It's stuff that we have discussed, Jeff and I, for a while now. So there are 7 deliverables in this proposal. The brand logo, mission statement, independent website with content with 4 separate 2-minute videos, monitored social media accounts with data analytics and some other things. I picked this business up off of LinkedIn, actually, looking through it, and it's a small business. Had a Zoom interview with a young lady. I think it's a small company, never has worked in government. But if you look at her video, she's made some hard stuff. Auto repair shops look really nice. And the bid was very reasonable from my perspective, so I didn't solicit bids on this, just for the record. Not required by state statute or county policies for professional services, primarily because of the timing, and I think it's a very attractive bid for everything that we would potentially be getting in a short period of time. And probably most impressive, when I asked Phil to look this over, I think his comment back to me was that the interview with Jeff, he's pretty sure this young lady's going to have Jeff beard his braid, or braid his beard. There you go, braid his beard. And so I would encourage you to approve it just on that alone. I want to see that beard with braids. I know, prepared to answer any questions, Mr.
I do have a quick question on task 2, the brand guide development,
Yes.
which is almost half of the entire bid.
Okay.
What is that going to involve?
Well, that creates a brand. We don't have a brand. In fact, there's been some, I think, criticism about, if you even look at our letterhead, the county's bigger in there, but it creates the buffalo or the butterfly or what. You're smiling. Am I missing something here?
Oh, I absolutely hate these.
Yeah.
I and always will. I mean, it's half the cost, I guess. Yeah,
Then you know what it is.
I know what it is, and
I will say
I
this.
guess the little picture of poop with the cell on it going down the pipe.
Yeah, something. Jeff and I've had some discussions.
I mean, I'll let you use that for $5.
Yeah. We share some of those same things, but I will say this,
Is it
that
copyrighted?
this agency has never done that. This agency's never done that. I mean, if you walk out in the parking lot and see the truck says WW1, and, maybe that's good enough, but it's a creative process that nobody in this group should be doing.
I get it, but it is what it is.
Now, you've done a couple as mayor, haven't you?
And I've acted the same way. I'm consistent.
At least 2 that I can think of.
Well, branding's kind of a sensitive subject right now, right?
Yes, it is.
Because they don't have any branding down there in Kansas. I hope that part of this process will be to kind of make it a little bit easier to understand. When we start talking about phase 3 and phase 4, that's confusing. That's going to confuse people. So I hope part of this process will be to lay out a plan that makes more sequential sense, so people understand that what's going to be happening in the near term is really phase 1. and not the other way around. I don't know if that's part of this deal or not.
Our messaging can be improved. You got a lot of government and engineering, nothing personal. So I think getting an outside look at some creativity and making it consumable for a citizen is a term I used when I discussed it with her. I mean, she was using terminology I didn't understand, like influencers, and we had a little bit of a generational gap, but that's the thing.
Let's go with
Your
flush
administrator
one.
just called me old, Kelly?
I said
Is that
me.
what happened there?
Yeah, I said me.
But if you do it right, I mean, this Connect Sarpy site, that's really helpful. And so when
Yeah.
people ask me all these questions, I say, go to the Connect Sarpy site. It has everything up there. So something like that, has value and kind of it keeps a continuing, consistent message instead of everybody telling everybody something a little different.
Yeah, and right now, everything links through the county's website.
100%, about
We're
3
not
clicks
the county.
in.
This is a completely separate agency comprised of
Yeah.
5 cities and a county. So I think making that disconnect really should make it easier to tell the story from a city perspective and from a county perspective, so.
And you won't log on or get an email and say, here's your new website. We'll never get consensus, right? But you'll get eyes on it. And at some point, when I can count to 4, then we'll make a decision on what the design looks like and go from there.
But it's a very, very modest cost from some of these types of things I've seen in the past. Most of the time, you can't even get a website for that amount of money, so.
I think I mentioned discussion with
good.
Mayor Black and maybe you, Chairman, here this afternoon, that it's a young company. I think this company's trying to get into some government business, and I think that's why we got a very low proposal. But every piece of work she's done looks very good. I would challenge you to go on her website, and I struggled to find something I didn't like or didn't look creative.
Okay.
You're right, it is a small amount, so I think to Doug's point, expectations are probably a little bit low on what the deliverable is, but I agree, having the connections and the consistent message is really important to have an outside person doing that, so I'd support it and I'd make the motion. I think my only comment would be, $30,000 is almost petty cash to us and what we're paying everybody else, but to a small startup business, this is a major contract. And understanding that we're all about economic development. I mean, everything we're doing, we're trying to create economic development in Sarpy, and we're giving money to a startup outside of Sarpy County. So I think my only comment would be, when we do these in the future, let's make a real push to try and find a local startup in Sarpy County, so we're supporting local.
Definitely.
But I'd make a motion to approve.
Second, Bellevue.
Motion by Papillion, second by Bellevue. Any further comments? Please vote.
Yea, 6, nays none, motion carried.
Okay, our next meeting is going to be October 26th, and all the agenda items have been addressed as published, and the Sarpy County and Cities Wastewater Agency Board is adjourned.
It's not even